All right, let's unlock a language learning secret weapon. One you probably already have in your pocket, YouTube.
Oh, a good one.
We're diving deep into how this platform can take you, from just being a casual viewer to a confident speaker.
Yeah.
So whether you're, I don't know, daydreaming about Parisian cafes
Oh la la.
or Tokyo street food, this deep dive is packed with practical tips to make those dreams a reality.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to explore how YouTube can kind of transform language learning from a chore into an adventure.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, how YouTube really flips the script on traditional learning.
Wow.
It moves away from that kind of rote memorization of like verb conjugations, and it's really about immersing yourself in the living, breathing culture of a language.
Yeah, I've always struggled with textbooks.
Uh,
They just feel so sterile.
right.
But YouTube, it's like having a backstage pass to another world.
Yeah.
You can see the gestures, hear the slang, get those little cultural insights that you just can't capture in a textbook.
Yeah, yeah, that's precisely where its power lies. It really taps into the way our brains are wired to learn
Hmm.
through, observation, immersion, and real world context.
Right.
You're not just passively absorbing grammar rules.
Yeah.
You're experiencing the language firsthand.
Yeah, it's like the difference between, reading about how to cook pasta
Right.
and actually watching an Italian grandmother make it from scratch.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're picking up techniques and nuances that you wouldn't even know to look for in a textbook.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And think about how visual learning plays a role too. Facial expressions, body language, cultural cues. YouTube provides, a multisensory experience that really makes learning stick.
Yeah, and let's not forget the sheer variety. Whether you're a history buff or a foodie or, I don't know, a K-pop fanatic, there's a YouTube channel out there for you.
Absolutely.
Learning a language becomes less about studying and more about exploring your passions through this new lens.
Yeah, that's a crucial point. When you're genuinely engaged with the content,
Uh-huh.
the language learning process, it becomes almost effortless. It's no
Yeah.
longer a chore. It's an exciting avenue for discovery.
Okay, so we're convinced YouTube's a gold mine. But with millions of videos out there, how do we avoid getting lost, in that algorithm? How do we find the good stuff?
Yeah, that's where strategy comes in. First and foremost, you know your level. Are you a complete beginner,
Right.
or are you looking to just kind of refine your skills?
Hmm.
Because some channels are designed for beginners, while others cater to more advanced learners.
Yeah, I remember when I first started learning Spanish, I jumped into this channel that was meant for native speakers,
Oh, wow.
and I was completely lost.
Right.
So it's important to, be honest with yourself about where you are in your language journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of your interests,
Mhm.
Are you a gamer?
Uh-huh.
Are you a music lover?
Mm-hmm.
A history buff? Seek out channels that align with those passions, You'll be amazed at how much you learn
Right.
when you're genuinely interested in the content.
Yeah, yeah. It makes the process feel less like studying and more like, I don't know, just hanging out with friends who happen to speak another language.
Precisely, precisely. And when you're evaluating channels, don't be afraid to be picky.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
look for clear explanations,
Mhm.
good production quality,
Right.
and check reviews from other learners.
So it's not just about quantity; it's about quality too.
Absolutely.
We don't want to waste our time with content that's confusing.
Right.
Or inaccurate.
Exactly. Exactly. Take a few minutes to browse a channel's videos, read the comments,
Mm-hmm.
get a sense of the creator's teaching style. Does it resonate with you?
Right.
Do you feel like you could learn from this person?
It's like auditioning a language tutor.
Exactly.
You want to make sure they're a good fit for your learning personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, once you've found some promising channels, don't fall into the trap of sticking to just one.
Okay.
Explore a variety of teaching styles. different native speakers, different perspectives on the language.
That makes sense. Like if I only watched cooking shows in French, I might learn a lot of culinary vocabulary,
Right.
but I wouldn't be prepared for a conversation about, say, art history.
Exactly. Exactly. A diverse range of content,
Hmm.
gives you a broader understanding of the language, its nuances, and,
Yeah.
and how it's used in different contexts.
Mm.
It also just keeps things interesting.
So we've talked about choosing channels based on our level, our interests,
Right.
and the quality of the content. What kinds of channels are out there? I mean, is it all just grammar lessons and vocabulary drills?
Not at all. Not at all. There's a whole ecosystem of language learning channels on YouTube,
Ah.
each with its own unique approach. You've got your classic language lesson channels,
Hmm.
which provide, structured learning of grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
Hmm.
These are great for building a strong foundation,
Okay.
especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, I remember when I was learning Japanese, those grammar lessons were a lifesaver.
Yeah.
They broke down complex concepts into bite-sized pieces.
Absolutely. They're like the building blocks of your language journey.
Uh-huh.
But as you progress, you'll want to branch out and explore other types of channels.
Okay, like what? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, for starters, you've got channels run by native speakers.
Mm-hmm.
These are fantastic for picking up natural expressions, slang, regional dialects, those little quirks that make a language truly come alive.
Yeah, that's what I love about YouTube. It's like having a direct line to the culture. You're not just learning the language,
Yeah,
you're
right.
you're experiencing it through the eyes of native speakers.
Exactly. And speaking of experiencing the culture, travel and culture channels are another goldmine.
Uh-huh.
You can immerse yourself in the sights and sounds and customs of your target language country, all while picking up, new vocabulary and phrases.
I actually learned a ton of Italian just from watching travel vlogs about Rome.
Wow.
It's amazing how much you can absorb just by immersing yourself in the culture.
And here's a secret weapon that's often overlooked. Entertainment channels.
Okay.
Think comedy shows, gaming channels, music videos, anything that you find genuinely entertaining.
Wait. So you're telling me I can learn a language
Mm-hmm.
while watching cat videos?
Well, maybe not cat videos specifically,
Oh,
but
right.
but you get the idea. When you're engrossed in something you enjoy, your brain is more receptive to learning.
Mm-hmm.
You pick up, slang, idioms, cultural references, all without even realizing it.
It's like language learning by osmosis.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so what other treasures are hidden in the YouTube vault?
Well, podcasts and interviews. These are fantastic for honing your listening comprehension skills, especially when you're trying to get used to, different accents and speaking styles.
Yeah, I find that podcasts are great for getting used to the natural rhythm and flow of a language.
Right.
It's less polished than, say, a news broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels more like a real conversation.
And finally, don't underestimate the power of educational channels.
Okay.
These cover a wide range of topics: history, science, art, technology, you name it.
Uh-huh.
And they can really help you, expand your vocabulary in specific areas of interest.
Okay, so if I'm learning German and I'm obsessed with physics, I could find a YouTube channel about physics in German.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
It's all about finding those intersections between your passions and your language learning goals. Remember, the more you enjoy the content,
Right.
the more likely you are to stick with it.
Okay, so we've explored this amazing world of YouTube channels for language learning, but I have a confession to make. Sometimes I fall into the trap of just passively watching videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend, I don't know, hours on YouTube and feel like I haven't actually learned anything.
Right.
How do we avoid that pitfall?
That's a common challenge, and
Yeah.
it's a crucial point. Simply watching videos isn't enough. to truly benefit from YouTube's language learning potential, you need to engage actively with the material.
So no more mindless scrolling.
More mindless scrolling.
What are some practical strategies we can use to make those YouTube sessions count?
That's a fantastic question, and it's what we'll focus on next. Are you ready to turn passive viewing into a powerful learning experience?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, it's time to ditch that mindless scrolling and really transform YouTube into your personal language learning coach.
Okay.
Let's dive into some practical strategies that will turn those viewing hours into tangible progress.
Right.
Are you ready to unlock your inner polyglot?
I think so. I'm ready for the challenge. What's the first secret weapon in our language learning arsenal?
Okay, well, one technique that stands out is called shadowing.
Shadowing.
It might sound a bit intimidating, but it's actually a really fun and effective way to work on your pronunciation and fluency.
Okay, shadowing. I've never heard of that. What exactly does it involve?
Think of it like becoming a voice double for your favorite YouTube personality.
Okay.
You choose a short segment of a video, maybe a sentence or two, and you try to repeat it verbatim, matching the speaker's pace, rhythm, and intonation.
Okay.
It's not just about mimicking the words, it's about capturing the music of the language.
So I'm not just like parroting the sounds. I'm trying to embody like the way the speaker delivers the language, almost like I'm stepping into their vocal chute.
Exactly. You're training your brain to internalize those subtle nuances that make a language, sound natural and effortless. Think about it. When you were a child, you learned to speak by listening to and imitating those around you.
Right.
Shadowing taps into that same innate ability to absorb language through mimicry.
That's fascinating. So what are some of the benefits of incorporating shadowing into my language learning routine?
Well, for one, it can dramatically improve your pronunciation. By carefully mimicking a native speaker, you're training your mouth muscles to form those unfamiliar sounds correctly. It's like a workout for your tongue.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be helpful. I know I struggle with certain sounds in the language I'm learning, and it feels awkward and unnatural. So I bet shadowing could help me, loosen up those tongue muscles and get those sounds flowing more smoothly.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, individual sounds. Shadowing also helps you develop a more natural rhythm and intonation, those, subtle ups and downs that make a language sound truly authentic.
I never really thought about it that way, but you're right. It's those little nuances that can really make or break a conversation. Like if I pronounce every word perfectly, but my intonation is flat, it's still going to sound strange to a native speaker.
Precisely. It's about capturing the essence of the language, the way it flows and ebbs and comes alive. Shadowing can help you bridge that gap between textbook pronunciation and real world fluency.
So how do I actually get started with shadowing? Do I just pick any random YouTube video and start mimicking?
Well, it's good to be strategic about it.
Okay.
First, choose a video with clear audio and a speaker whose accent you admire.
Okay.
It's also helpful to start with shorter segments, maybe just a sentence or two. Listen to it a few times, paying close attention to the pronunciation, the rhythm, and the intonation.
Right.
Then try to repeat it, along with the speaker, matching their pace and style as closely as possible.
So no need to aim for perfection right away. It's more about getting comfortable with the sounds and the rhythm of the language.
Exactly. As you get more comfortable, you can gradually increase the length of the segments you're shadowing.
Okay.
You can even record yourself and compare your pronunciation to the original speakers.
Right.
It's a great way to identify areas where you need to improve.
Yeah. That's a brilliant tip. I love that idea of recording myself. It's like having a language coach in my pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, shadowing is definitely going on my language learning to-do list.
Great.
What else can we do to make the most of our YouTube time?
Let's talk about vocabulary building. It might seem obvious, but
Yeah.
so many language learners, passively consume videos without actively engaging with new words and phrases.
Right.
It's like reading a book and just, skimming over the words without really absorbing their meaning.
Oh, I am so guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'll hear a word I don't know and think, "Oh, that's interesting," but then I'll just keep watching
Right.
without looking it up or trying to use it.
It's easy to fall into that trap, but we can be more proactive.
Okay.
Next time you're watching a YouTube video, challenge yourself to pick out 5 to 10 new words or
Yeah.
phrases
Okay.
that pique your interest.
Right.
Write them down in a notebook
Yeah.
or create, a digital flashcard deck.
Hmm.
Look up their definitions
Yeah.
and then try to use them in your own sentences.
Okay.
Even if it feels silly at first.
Yeah, it's like building my own personalized dictionary,
Right.
curated from the content I love. I bet that would make those new words stick so much better
Absolutely.
than just passively, hoping they'll magically find a home in my brain.
Exactly. You're turning passive consumption into active learning. And here's another simple but powerful technique that can turbocharge your language skills. Summarizing a video without subtitles.
Okay.
Think of it as a pop quiz for your listening comprehension.
Ooh, I like a good challenge.
Mhm.
How does that work exactly? Do I just watch a video and then try to recap it from memory?
That's the gist of it.
Okay.
Watch a video without subtitles,
Uh-huh.
jot down key points as you listen,
Okay.
and then try to summarize the main ideas in your own words, either, aloud or in writing.
So it's like training my ears to really tune in
Mhm.
to what's being said without relying on the crutch of subtitles. I bet that would force me to pay attention to those little details I might otherwise miss.
Exactly. It's like a workout for your listening muscles.
Yeah.
You're strengthening your ability to decode the sounds, the rhythm, the nuances of spoken language, all without visual cues.
That's a fantastic technique. I'm always looking for ways to improve my listening comprehension,
Mm-hmm.
and this sounds like a fun and engaging way to
Mhm.
do it. Plus, I can always go back and watch the video again with subtitles to see how well I did.
Exactly. It's a great way to identify your strengths and weaknesses
Mm.
in listening comprehension,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on areas that need improvement. Now let's shift gears and talk about grammar. I know grammar isn't always the most exciting topic, but it's the foundation of any language.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? YouTube can actually make grammar fun.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that YouTube can transform grammar from a dreaded chore into something enjoyable?
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued. How exactly does that work?
Well, instead of just passively reading grammar rules in a textbook, you can use YouTube to actively analyze sentence structures and practice using them yourself.
Okay.
Think of it like becoming a language detective.
Ooh, I like that. A language detective.
Yeah.
It sounds so much more exciting than memorizing verb conjugations.
Mhm, mhm.
So how do I put on my detective hat and start investigating the grammar of my target language?
Well, as you're watching a video,
Uh-huh.
pause it whenever you hear a sentence that uses a grammar structure. You want to master.
Okay.
Identify the different elements of the sentence. The verb tenses, the prepositions, the word order.
So I'm breaking the sentence down into its component parts.
Exactly.
Like a scientist examining a specimen under a microscope.
Exactly. You're getting under the hood of the language
Mhm.
and seeing how it all works. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Once you've dissected the sentence, try to create your own sentences using that same structure.
Okay. Maybe even substituting in different words or changing the tense.
So I'm not just passively observing the grammar. I'm actively experimenting with it,
Right.
playing with the different pieces and seeing how they fit together.
That's the key.
Yeah.
By manipulating the language in this way, you're reinforcing those grammatical rules and
Yeah.
making them, a part of your own linguistic toolbox.
This is amazing. I never realized that grammar could be so much fun.
Yeah.
It's like turning YouTube into my into my own personal grammar tutor.
Now let's not forget about the cultural immersion aspect of language learning.
Right.
YouTube is a treasure trove of cultural insights just waiting to be explored. It's like having a passport to another world
Right.
right at your fingertips. I totally agree. I love how YouTube allows us to go beyond textbooks and experience the language in its natural habitat. It's so much more enriching than just memorizing vocabulary lists.
Think about it. Travel vlogs, documentaries, even, vlogs about daily life
Right.
in your target language.
Yeah.
These are all, incredible resources for immersing yourself in the culture behind the language. Pay attention to, the customs, the traditions, the values, even the humor that's being portrayed.
Yeah. I remember watching this vlog about a family's New Year's celebration in Japan, and it was so fascinating to see all the traditions and rituals. I felt like I was like right there with them, experiencing it firsthand.
Exactly. You're not just learning words. You're absorbing the cultural context that gives those words meaning. And as you watch these videos, don't be afraid to do your own research.
Right.
To delve deeper into those aspects. Maybe read articles, watch other videos, or even connect with people from that culture online.
Yeah, it's like building a bridge between the language and the people who speak it. It makes the whole learning process feel so much more meaningful.
Now, are you ready to take your conversational skills to the next level?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm always up for a challenge.
YouTube can actually help you practice debating and discussing in your target language.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How is that? How is that even possible? I mean, it's not like I can have a debate with a YouTube video.
Not exactly, but you can use videos as a springboard for discussion.
Okay.
Find a video on a topic that sparks your interest, something that presents different viewpoints,
Or ignites a bit of controversy.
Okay.
As you watch, think about the arguments being presented and how you would respond to them.
Okay.
In your target language.
So it's like I'm mentally engaging in the conversation, formulating my own opinions and responses in the target language.
Precisely. You can practice this with a language partner, with friends, or even just with yourself in the mirror.
Right.
The point is to get those words flowing. To practice articulating your thoughts and ideas in a structured way.
That's such a clever technique. I love how it combines language practice with critical thinking. It's not just about memorizing words. It's about using them to engage in meaningful conversations.
And for those feeling truly adventurous, why not try creating your own content in the target language? Creating my own content?
Yeah.
That sounds terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. I mean, I'm not exactly a YouTube star. What kind of content could I even create?
It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be as simple as recording a short introduction of yourself, talking about your hobbies or interests, or even reviewing a product you love.
Okay, like I could make a video about my favorite Japanese snacks.
Exactly.
Or review a Korean drama I'm watching. That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Exactly. It's all about being creative and finding ways to use the language in a way that feels authentic to you.
Right.
And don't worry about being perfect. The point is to practice, to put yourself out there and to have fun with it.
I love that mindset. It takes the pressure off and allows me to focus on the joy of using the language.
Sharing your journey can be incredibly motivating, both for you and for others who are on the same path. It's a way of building community
Mm.
and celebrating the joy of language learning. So what do you say? Are you ready to step in front of the camera
Okay.
and share your language learning adventures with the world?
So we've explored this amazing world of YouTube language learning uh, techniques, but let's be realistic.
Mm.
It's not always going to be smooth sailing, right?
Right.
What are some of the challenges that language learners might face
Uh,
when using YouTube, and how can we overcome them?
that's a great question. YouTube, for all its wonders, can also present a unique set of challenges.
Right.
Let's take a closer look at some common roadblocks
Okay.
and how to navigate them successfully.
Right.
Ready for a reality check?
Let's do it. All right, yeah, let's get real for a moment. We've been, raving about YouTube's language learning superpowers, but I think it's important to acknowledge that it's not always a, walk in the park.
Yeah, for sure.
What are some of the challenges that language learners might encounter when using YouTube, and how can we navigate those tricky turns?
You're absolutely right. It's important to go into this, with a realistic mindset. YouTube, for all of its wonders, can also present a unique set of challenges. And one of the biggest hurdles I see people face is simply the overwhelming amount of content.
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost in the sea of videos, paralyzed by the sheer number of
Oh,
options.
I've definitely been there. I remember like spending hours just browsing channels
Yeah.
and feeling like I was making zero progress.
Yeah.
It's like going to a library with millions of books and not knowing where to start.
Absolutely.
How do we avoid that sense of overwhelm and create a more focused approach?
Yeah. I think my advice would be to start small and be strategic. Don't try to, conquer YouTube in a day. Instead, focus on identifying a handful of channels that truly align with your interests, your
Right.
learning style and your current level. It's about quality over quantity.
So instead of like randomly clicking on videos,
Yeah.
I should take some time to research channels,
Yeah.
read reviews,
Absolutely.
and get a
Yeah.
sense of whether their content is a good fit for me. It's like curating my own personal language learning playlist filled with videos that I'm actually excited to watch.
Exactly. And to make things even more manageable,
Okay.
create playlists within those channels to
Mhm.
organize your favorite videos. You can have playlists for grammar, vocabulary, listening practice,
Right.
cultural immersion, anything that helps you stay focused and on track.
Yeah. I love that idea. It takes away that feeling of
Yeah.
being lost in a vast digital ocean,
Mm.
and it creates a sense of structure and purpose.
Absolutely.
It's like having a roadmap for my language learning journey. Now, even with a carefully curated playlist, there's another challenge that can kind of sneak up on you, and that's distractions.
Oh, yes.
Let's face it, YouTube is designed to keep you glued to the screen
Right.
with those tempting recommendations and notifications popping up left and right.
All the time.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I've lost count of how many times I sat down with the intention of watching a language lesson
Hmm.
and ended up like 3 hours deep into a rabbit hole of unrelated videos. It's like my brain has a mind of its own. How do we resist those digital sirens and stay focused on our language goals?
It all comes down to creating a dedicated learning environment.
Okay.
Find a quiet space
Mm-hmm.
where you can minimize interruptions, turn off those pesky notifications,
Mhm.
and let your loved ones know.
That you need some uninterrupted study time.
Right.
Treat your language learning sessions
Right.
with the same respect and focus that
Yeah.
you would give to any other important task.
So it's about setting boundaries, both physical and mental,
Yeah.
to create a space where I can truly immerse myself in the language.
Right.
It's like building a little language learning sanctuary,
Exactly.
free from distractions and temptations.
We got it. Think of it as creating a ritual around your language practice.
Okay.
It signals to your brain that it's time to switch gears
Ah.
and focus on learning.
Now, even with a distraction-free zone and a curated playlist, I think I think a lot of language learners struggle with the lack of feedback when using YouTube.
Yeah. Unlike in a traditional classroom setting, there's no teacher there to correct your mistakes or provide immediate guidance. How do we overcome that feeling of isolation and get some feedback on our progress?
That's a very valid concern. It can feel a bit like navigating a foreign country without a map or a guide.
Right.
But thankfully, we live in a hyper-connected world, and there are so many ways to connect with other language learners
Okay.
and get that valuable feedback.
So it's about building a community, even if it's a virtual one.
Exactly.
What are some specific ways we can do that?
We'll look for online communities
Okay.
or language exchange platforms where
Right.
you can connect with, other learners, native speakers, or even tutors.
Mhm.
There are forums where you can, ask grammar questions,
Sure.
groups where you can, practice conversations, and platforms where you can find language partners to exchange feedback.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's like creating a global language learning network right from the comfort of my own home.
Exactly. And don't forget, even without direct feedback from a teacher or a tutor, you can still assess your progress by paying attention to how well you understand those YouTube videos,
Yeah.
how easily you recall vocabulary, and
Yeah.
how confidently you can express yourself.
Yeah, it's about becoming my own self-evaluator, noticing those subtle improvements,
Mm.
and celebrating those small wins. It's also about acknowledging the areas where I'm still struggling and finding resources to help me improve.
Hmm.
Now let's talk about another potential pitfall, and that's content quality. YouTube, for all its amazing educational content, also has its fair share of videos with inaccurate information, outdated teaching methods, or just plain bad production quality.
For sure, for sure.
It's like sifting for gold. There's some real gems out there, but there's also a lot of fool's gold that can lead you astray. How do we tell the difference?
You have to be discerning. Don't just blindly click on the first video that pops up.
Right.
Do your research,
Okay.
read reviews, and look for channels that are known for their accuracy,
Oh.
engaging teaching styles,
Okay.
and high production quality.
It's like checking the credentials of your language learning guide.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure we're learning from the best.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to trust your gut. If something feels off, if the explanations are confusing or the information seems inaccurate, move on to another source. There's no shortage of options out there.
Okay, so we've talked about overwhelm, distractions, feedback, and content quality. Is there one final challenge we need to be prepared for?
There's one more pitfall that's perhaps the most subtle and insidious of them all.
Okay.
And that's passive watching.
Passive watching.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of simply consuming videos
Mhm.
without actively engaging with the material. It's like going to a concert and just sitting there with your ears plugged. You're not really experiencing the music, are you?
Oh my gosh, I am so guilty of this.
Yeah.
I'll spend, I don't know, hours watching language learning videos and then realize I can't remember a single thing I learned.
Right.
It's like my brain went on autopilot.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
But we can break free from that passive watching cycle. Remember all those active learning strategies we discussed earlier? Shadowing, vocabulary building,
Right.
summarizing without subtitles,
Okay.
analyzing grammar. Those are the keys to unlocking YouTube's, true language learning potential.
So it's not enough to just watch. I have to actively engage with the content, make it my own, and put those new skills into practice.
Exactly. Think of each video as a conversation, not a lecture.
Okay.
Ask yourself questions, make connections to what you already know, and don't be afraid to pause, rewind, and replay
Right.
until you've truly absorbed the material.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into the world of language learning on YouTube. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit of strategies to help me, reach my language goals. But I know that even with the best tools, motivation can sometimes dwindle. How could we stay inspired and keep that language learning fire burning bright even when things get tough?
That's a great question, and it's something that every language learner grapples with at some point.
Mm.
Staying motivated for the long haul requires a combination of strategies, from setting realistic goals to finding ways to make the learning process enjoyable.
So it's not just about willpower.
No.
It's about setting ourselves up for success
Yeah.
by creating a sustainable and fulfilling learning experience.
Exactly, exactly. One of the most effective ways to stay motivated is to set, realistic goals.
Okay.
Don't try to become fluent overnight. Instead, break down your learning journey into smaller, more achievable steps.
So instead of saying like I'm going to master Mandarin Chinese,
Right.
maybe my goal is to learn 10 new characters this week, or have a basic conversation with a native speaker
Exactly.
about my hobbies.
Exactly. Those small wins build momentum and keep you feeling, positive about your progress.
And speaking of progress, what
Excellent.
about tracking those wins along the way? It's easy to lose sight of how far we've come if we're not actively acknowledging our achievements.
That's so true. Tracking your progress can be incredibly motivating. You can keep a journal where you log, the videos you've watched, the vocabulary you've learned, the milestones you've reached.
Okay.
Or you can use a language learning app that has a built-in progress tracker.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing those visual reminders of your journey can be, a powerful motivator,
Yeah.
especially on those days when you're feeling discouraged.
Yeah, it's like creating a highlight reel of all the hard work you've put in, a testament to your dedication and resilience.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about community.
Mhm.
Finding a language buddy or joining an online group can provide that extra boost of motivation
Absolutely.
and accountability that can make all the difference.
It really can.
It's like having a personal cheering squad, a group of people who understand the challenges you're facing and celebrate your wins alongside you.
Absolutely. It's so much easier to stay motivated when you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like having a group of fellow adventurers to share the ups and downs with,
Yeah.
to learn from and to inspire.
For sure. And of course, don't forget to reward yourself.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you reach a milestone, no matter how small, take a moment to acknowledge your achievement. Treat yourself to something you enjoy, whether it's, a delicious meal,
Uh-huh.
a fun activity, or simply some time to relax and recharge.
It's a way of honoring your commitment to your language learning goals,
Yeah.
and reminding yourself that this journey is not just about the destination. It's about enjoying the process. And speaking of enjoyment, let's not lose sight of the most important ingredient of all: fun.
Yes.
If you're not having fun,
Right.
you're less likely to stick with it. So make sure you're choosing content that genuinely interests you.
Uh-huh.
Experiment with different learning approaches,
Mhm.
and find ways to inject a sense of playfulness
Yeah.
into your language practice.
Absolutely. It's like turning language learning into a game,
Mm.
a fascinating puzzle
Right.
to be solved. The more we enjoy the process, the more motivated we'll be to keep going. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of language learning on YouTube, I want to leave you with this thought. YouTube is an incredible tool,
Mm-hmm.
but it's up to you
Mm-hmm.
to make it work for you.
Okay.
Be proactive, be curious,
Mm.
and embrace the joy of discovery.
Think about your target language and what truly excites you. What are your passions? What do you love to watch on YouTube?
Right.
And then go out there and find those channels, those creators,
Yeah.
those videos that will ignite your language learning journey.
The world of language is waiting to be explored,
It really is.
and YouTube is your passport.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another adventure in knowledge.
Sounds good.
Happy learning.